Welcome to episode 1 of the Portland Pilot Alumni Podcast. I'm going to be your host, Brant Miner. I'm a 2006 alumni of the University of Portland, and I was a member of the men's basketball team. Our first guest on the Portland Pilot Alumni Podcast is Pooh Jeter, who was my teammate and has a long list of accomplishments while at UP. Second all-time in scoring with over 1,700 points. Fourth all-time in steals, fourth in three-pointers made, fourth in free throws made. We love free throws. Had to toss that in. Fourth in free throw percentage and seventh all-time in the history of the school in assists with over 345 assists. Three-time all-conference, two-time first-team all-West Coast Conference guard while at the University of Portland. After his time at UP, Pooh has had an incredible professional playing career, is a successful entrepreneur owning and operating a high-end shoe and clothing boutique in his hometown of Los Angeles called Laced. Los Angeles Creating Endless Dreams. Pooh also has a beautiful family with his wife, Siobhan, and two sons, Eugene the Fourth and Ethan Jeter. I'm excited. Pooh, welcome to episode 1. Thanks for taking some time to join me.
B Minor, what's up, baby man? It's amazing. I'm glad that you definitely reached out to me. And me being the first guest, man, like that's a tremendous opportunity to share the story of what UP has done for me. So.
Well, we're really excited to have you, man. Definitely appreciate you taking the time. You're in Ukraine right now, getting ready to start your season. But before we get to that, let's start with some time at the University of Portland. Talk to us about your decision to attend UP and kind of how that recruiting process was.
So special shout out to, Coach Holden. Coach Holden, who is from Los Angeles. He reached out to my AAU coach and my AAU, a coach that I had play AAU for when I was in middle school, but at the time in LA, I was getting recruited by like maybe 4 WCC schools. It was Portland, it was Gonzaga, it was St. Mary's, and it was, I think, San Francisco. Coach Holden reached out. Coach Holden reached out to, Dart Stamps, who is a legendary coach in LA. He actually coached Donald Wilson and I when we was in 6th grade. So when I found out that University of Portland was recruiting Donald, they scheduled our recruiting trip together. So Donald and I left, I think it was maybe in February. Donald and I left, LA, went to Portland together for our recruiting trip. Our host, who was our host? Eric Knight. Eric Knight was our host.
I remember Eric Knight. Yeah, played with him.
E Knight is also from LA. Ended up, I think going out maybe with Adam and Casey, maybe, and Pat Galos, and
probably Carl Ocker,
and Sema,
Gislan.
But so on this trip, it was just just seeing the campus. I believe I watched them practice, or we went to a game probably. I'm really trying to I'm back there now. We went to a Portland game. This was almost probably sold it for me. We went to the Portland game. At this time, Maurice Cheeks was coaching Portland, and their point guard was Damon Stoudemire, and I'm a tremendous, I'm a huge Damon Stoudemire fan. And he did everything I wanted to do, and we chopped it up. We was really chopping it up after the game, and I was like, you know what, this will be a great spot to be in because I will have access to, Mighty Mouse. I want to be a pro player, so why not, learn from somebody at my size and learn from a coach who really played in the pros. I think this will be an amazing opportunity. Donald Wilson low-key committed for both of us. So when we get to the hotel, we arrived to the hotel. Donald Like we go to our room and we went in our room, like our jerseys is like on the bed, this and that. So Donald puts his jersey on, knocks on my door. I answer the door. I'm like, "My dude, you got your jersey on?" He was like, "Bro, this is it, bro. This is it." And I'm like, "Okay." Mind you, like I said, Donald and I been knowing each other since we was like 11 years old. So go out to Coach Holden takes us to a restaurant. Um, but Coach Rode is the one. Coach Rode found me. Coach Rich Rode, he really found me at Superstar Camp. So by I'm sorry, I'm like going, I'm everywhere with this story, but Coach Rode really found me and reached out to Coach Holden, of course, and Coach Holden already had a history, from him being in UCLA camp. I used to go to UCLA camp too, but Donald really committed. Like he was like, "Yo, Coach, we coming," and I looked at Donald like, "Oh wow, okay." And I'm like, Coach Holden, what's up, Pooh? I'm like, I just want to just talk with my parents. You feel me? Like I don't want to make a decision, without, discussing it with my team back home. Like, and we went back home and I was like, yo, like, I think this would be the perfect spot for me. And when we University of Portland.
And part of the top rated top rated freshman class or recruiting class that included, I think Dustin Geddes was a part of that class. Geddes and was it
Andreas?
Andreas. Yep. Top rated recruiting class in the West Coast Conference. I was a part of it as the walk-on.
Yes, you were.
I was a very small part of that, but I was a part of that.
You were a part of it, bro.
I was a part of that. And that's one thing I always loved about you, Pooh. You never made me feel like a walk-on. I was always a part of the team with you guys. And that was definitely something I appreciated. So give us your favorite memory as an athlete at the University of Portland.
My favorite memory as an athlete was definitely beating Gonzaga our freshman year.
Hard to top that.
Gonzaga, bro. So Gonzaga, they were recruiting me, and I was just talking to Dan Dickow about this on his podcast too, because I ended up having a great relationship with Dan Dickow. But Gonzaga was recruiting me. I didn't really know what redshirting was, because they had like Blake Stepp. Remember Blake Stepp and like Winston, I forgot the point guard from my freshman.
Brooks, maybe.
Winston Brooks, like the buff guy.
Yeah.
And and that's what Coach Few was really saying. I was like, yo, we got some, some seniors that's gonna be playing ahead of you, like, just redshirt, and then when you redshirt over, then that next year you'll be coming in playing. But I just felt I was so ready. So, we play our first game. We played like our first like conference game, at Gonzaga. And mind you, remember they had like the longest winning streak maybe NCAA at that time. And we ended up going into Spokane and beating them by like 4 points. And I think that game I had like 20 points, and every time I was scoring, I was looking at Coach Few like,
I'm ready.
You want the red shirt me? Like me? But that was my last time beating Gonzaga too. So, I shouldn't have probably said nothing like that. But so that Gonzaga, our senior year, bro, like really sweeping like all the Oregon D1 schools. We beat Oregon State, Portland State. That was pretty huge. What else? We beat Nevada our sophomore year.
Nevada, yeah. Oregon State in double overtime.
Oregon State,
New Mexico at the pit, down at New Mexico.
Pit, so the sophomore year was amazing, especially for me. And people don't really know, like, especially like towards the end of my freshman year, I was starting, and I was playing pretty good. So I was really, I worked out hard that summer because I was like, what, I'm starting now. Now it's my, my time to really do something special. But, Coach Holden had like, at that time, like a different plan. Because, it was Casey Francis senior year and Quick and Adam Quick as well. And I learned so much from Adam Quick. I freaking love Quick.
Great guy.
But you did you go to Bahamas with us?
I didn't get to go. You had to rub that in. I didn't get to go.
I'm sorry.
I didn't get to go on that trip.
So we go to Bahamas. Played extremely well. That was my first time getting a passport. But we go to Bahamas, come back. So now we starting to play. So I'm coming off the bench. I'm like, dang, okay, well, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever. So Casey Franson ends up, bro, like diving for a ball. Mind you, his hip was like low key probably already hurting. He dove for a ball, went out over the chairs and like messed up his hip even more, or something with his hip maybe, and I ended up playing, and we ended up finishing the game. I think we won. I think we was playing against Boise State maybe, and ended up winning. I probably had like 20 points, this and that, and I don't think Casey came against the Oregon State, and we ended up beating Oregon State. And Coach Holden left me in the lineup, with Adam Quick. So, that's how like everything really, started like, changing for me, especially my sophomore year. Once I started getting in that lineup, I always thought like, dang, what if Casey Franson never really dove for that ball? Like, dang, who knows how life would have been, but it's just things to always look back on like, dang, like that's crazy. I think that like what really worked.
Those guys were amazing teammates. Adam Quick, Casey Franson, because Casey I think averaged 20 a game in the West Coast Conference his sophomore year, and then his junior year, you and Donald came in and stepped in, and then your sophomore year, like you were talking about, first team all West Coast Conference as a sophomore. And just really stepped into that role. So a lot of good memories as a player. Now give us something off the floor, some memory that you have of University of Portland that maybe wasn't on the basketball floor, whether that was in the Commons, Howard Hall. Give us something else. Mei-Ling Hall.
Mei-Ling was like one of my favorite places. I love like Mei-Ling. Mei-Ling had 8 floors. I was like,
8
wow.
floors, all ladies,
all women. University of Portland. Probably, you got the soccer games, of course. Watching. Oh wow, you remember like our freshman year, like they was national champions.
National champions.
Yeah, Christine Sinclair, Kristen Moore, like Mofo, Kristen Moore,
Amani Dorsey.
Oh wow, Amani Dorsey.
Because you knew Amani's dad, probably, right?
Who was our dad?
Armani's dad was a sports agent. I think he was a sports agent, and then her mom passed on September 11th.
Yeah. I remember that.
But that was that. Yeah. Watching that soccer team was incredible. I think they won the national championship game. North Carolina. I remember we were in the Child Center watching it on a big screen, and everyone stormed the court. It was, and I think they won the national championship our senior year too.
Oh wow!
With Megan Rapinoe.
Meg, for real. Meg's sister, Rachel, right?
Rachel, yep, Rachel Rapinoe. So yeah, soccer memories for sure. And I know I talk about those memories in the Commons after those 6 a.m. workouts, getting the omelets.
Cove. I think the Cove was probably like, the Cove was like really like my spot, man. And having Ken and oh wow, like I'm really trying to like really dial back into my memory, bro. Like I knew all the workers, but Ken was really running the ship, and they're gonna kill me if they watching this. I'm so sorry. I'm going blank on their names. But people at the Commons really took care of me. Like, bro, when I tell you they really took care of me, especially when I ran out of points.
Like, you and Donald were always low on points.
Hey, at the time, the Commons wasn't like how it is like now. Like I'm hearing now, like it's like unbelievable. But like the Commons was like, come on, man, I can't be eating that. Like, and this was like 2002, 2006. I'm like, I can't be eating this. So like, man, I might as well go to the Cove. So, people at the Cove, like I talk to everybody. That's my personality. Like always, it was never no favoritism. Like I don't care if I was the basketball player. Like I'm a human being, so I always wanted to treat people with love and respect. And that's the love I was getting back from everybody on that campus. So the people at the Cove was like just really taking care of me. I know they probably wasn't supposed to, be doing some certain stuff, but like they just made sure we was well fed.
So have you been back to the campus to see that new practice facility, Beauchamp,
It's
or?
amazing. Yes. Oh, it's amazing. I usually was trying to go to like UP at least every summer, like once a year. I was really trying to like really just tap in more, especially when Rev was there. Like I used to try to tap in. I know they used to have like their alumni games, but that used to be during a time where I'll have certain events because that'll be the same weekend, a BET weekend back home. So I used to always have events, but you know, I always definitely try to like, just go back once a year because I ended up like, creating like amazing like, a bunch of friends, not just at the school, but in the city, period. So that was probably one of the blessings of like going to University of Portland because I was getting love not just on campus, but off campus as well.
That is one thing I know you
But
mentioned.
I'm sorry, but I've seen all the upgrades. Like you remember how Howard Hall was, bro? Come
Dead
on, man.
spots
All
and
them dead spots. You know, uh even that gym downstairs, but now, it's no more Howard Hall. The new facility is amazing. Like I was like, man, y'all have access to this? Like
state of the art.
I'll be talking to Chase Adams, who's the point guard, like that. That's my little bro. But even before he committed to Portland, we definitely had like our conversation about the school and this and that, and I'm happy that he's there. I just want him to continue to, stay focused.
I want to touch on the fact that you did know everybody. And that's one thing I've always respected about you, Pooh, is there's no ego. You've always had that servant's heart and just love everybody and just that big white smile running around campus. And I just remember you did know, was it Delilah or the cafeteria, the commons workers, and everybody, obviously the custodians, because they were the ones that might prop a door to get into Childs so you could get some extra shots up.
Oh, see and that's with Jules. You feel me? Like
Jules,
So like
Javier.
Oh, Javi.
Javi.
Javi was amazing, bro. Like
Those guys took care of us.
And so the thing is also, like I don't even like I had a key, like I had a key. I was able, and that was like from I got the okay from Jules, but mind you, I'm sorry, like this is 2002 to 2006, like it's 2021, so I hope nobody gets like in trouble, but public safety, like I knew everybody, so like I'll be like, yo, like I'm trying to get in the gym. Like I'm trying to get better. And the thing is, I love that people wanted me to get better.
Right.
So I had access. I had access to almost to a lot of things at that school, and like I said, that's just us having a relationship, and I let people always know, like relationship runs the world. No, it's not. It's not what you know. It's definitely who you know. And by just getting that type of access to the Childs, or I'm able to put up extra shots, even during the soccer games. I'm going over. I'm in the Childs, like I'm watching the soccer, but I'm like, yo, I have to continue to get better. So it used to be myself in that toss back, and just getting things. But yeah, like bro, from teachers to Duff to Professor Duff and Professor Basson and Father Art Wheeler
Father
and
Art.
and Dr. Shapiro,
Hmm.
and
So
uh,
many.
it's so many. It's so many that but of course, I had an amazing relationship with Professor Duff because he was heavily involved with the basketball too. So, and Father Wheeler was definitely doing his best to make sure that we stay on, stay on board with everything. So,
And I was a roommate with Donald Wilson sophomore
oh
year
my,
and trying to keep him in line.
oh man,
Father Art did a great job getting you guys through there.
yes he did, yes
So
he
tell
did.
us a little bit about after UP. What have you been doing? Obviously, I know, but tell everybody else kind of your journey to where you are now in the Ukraine.
So, after UP, I never forget. Of course, I ended up graduating communication, uh, communication / general studies. Ended up graduating. Then right after graduation, I went back home and like really start preparing for, the draft. I ended up signing with uh with my best friend agent, which Baron Davis. That's my best friend. His agent is Todd Ramazar, and and him and Todd Ramazar had like their own agency, and what's so crazy, bro? By me like doing like I had a pretty great I had a pretty good like college career, and but I didn't really have like too many agents after me for some reason, so having, but I was already committed to, BD company, because I was all, I worked out with BD, man, every summer, during my college career. Um, so I knew I wasn't gonna get drafted because I didn't even go to like the Portsmouth. Portsmouth is like it's a senior where all the seniors, like it's a camp where all the seniors go to. And once I didn't get invited to that, I was like, I may not get drafted, but I know it's gonna be amazing, opportunities for me. So I started working out with Rico Hines. Rico Hines is one of the best trainers in the world. He's the player development now for the Sacramento Kings and assistant coach. But with Rico, mind you, I've always been working out with Rico in the summers. And but my time at Portland, I was working with Aaron Cowan, who is like one of the, rest in peace. He's one of the best trainers in Portland with Howard Avery. So, after my senior year, after once the season was done in Portland, I started working out with them and Bino. Like,
Bino, gotta shout out Bino.
gotta shout out, like you have to shout out like these amazing people in Portland because as this process was going, like it was a family that I created off the court that was also making sure that I'm able to be the best that I can be. So working with Howard Avery and Aaron Cowan we was at Jeff. We used to be in Thomas Gardner. Like, so we used to be like working out every day. Then I had Ryan Cabillas who on the weights, this and that. So by the time that I did go back home and start, working out with Rico and Todd Person, like I was gonna be ready. So ended up working out for the Lakers and the Sacramento Kings 3 times, and Sacramento was saying like, yo, if you do not get drafted, which I knew I wasn't, if you do not get drafted, then you can play on our summer league team. So I'm like, cool, bet. I'm over here telling my agent, like, he like, yo, you got you a team, and I'm like, all right, cool. So summer league comes, and Ron Artest decides, he was new to Sacramento. Um, Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you and see you now.
Okay, so Ron Artest, I'm sorry, I had a phone call. Dang. Ron Artest ended up, playing summer league with Francisco Garcia, Kevin Martin, Ronnie Price. They draft pick was Quincy Doobie. So I'm like, all right, we get to practice. Mind you, when I was doing these workouts with Sacramento, they didn't have a coach. The person that was doing the workouts was the GM and assistant GM, which was the GM was Jeff Petrie, And the assistant GM was Wayne Cooper, who was Andreas Cooper's dad. Andrea Cooper is a UP, she graduated after us, right?
I think she was a year behind us.
Or maybe two.
Maybe two.
Yeah. So
But
Andrea Cooper, who her dad was the assistant GM. So it's crazy how things work. And man, so I was balling. And so Summer League came, I was getting minutes, this and that. And so the last Summer League game always, the older players, or the vets, they don't play. So they was like, Sacramento was like, yo, here you go. And once Sacramento gave me the ball that last game, I had like 20 points, like 5 assists, 6 rebounds, no turnovers. And they was like, you know what? We're going to give you some money to come to camp. So I was just like, I have so much, faith in God. I know that the Spirit of God is fully and powerfully upon me. And by me, like, really knowing and having that confidence, I always show that. Like, so I wasn't like on no mock drafts. I wasn't like, like I said, I didn't get invited to, like Orlando pre-draft or, like the Portsmouth the senior camp. So like once I was able to, get that, that partial guarantee they go to camp, nobody didn't think that, that's like people, of course, my teammates and everybody like that knows how great I was, but nobody was like, they was like, oh my gosh, like, so I ended up, going to camp with Sacramento. I get released after the first game. Go to the D League. Ended up being like one of the best players in the D League. All-Star game. Was on the D League ambassadors team that went to China. Lost in the championship in overtime. But I ended up being like the best point guard. So go back to Summer League again with Sacramento. But then I ended up working, and I ended up coming to Europe, to Ukraine. I played for BC Kiev in the Euro Cup. We did well. We lost in the championship, but we made it to the top 16 in the ULEP Cup back then. Went to Summer League again. After that season, didn't really work out with Minnesota. Went back to Europe, to Spain. I played in Menorca in the ACB. ACB is the most powerful league in Europe. Did extremely well, averaged like 16 and a half. Didn't make the playoffs. Went back home, played Summer League again with the Portland Trailblazers. So, so that was like an amazing opportunity right there. Like even, playing with the Portland Trailblazers. And that was a crazy story because I committed during the season, and then they ended up drafting Patty Mills. So I'm like, okay, wow. Like, I know I'm not, because they already had Jared Bayless. So, like once you like start going to Summer League, they have to play like the players from the previous year, that especially that's under contract. So I was thinking, like, telling my agent, like, man, like, this ain't gonna go well. Like, I usually I'm usually like the starting point guard in summer leagues. So I said, man, this year I don't know how it's gonna go. And I didn't even get my clearance letter from my team in Spain. So I couldn't practice the first one. So I'm telling my agent, like, yo, like, we gotta figure something out. He said, yo, I'm on it. I'll let you know something. That's so then that next practice, Patty Mills breaks his foot, like off of like he was basically almost by himself. And I'm like, so once I saw that, I was like telling my agent, like, hey, Patty Mills just broke his foot. I think we're probably good to go. He was like, all right, cool. Like, not like, all right, cool, but he was like, all right, like, we're gonna make it happen. So ended up playing with Portland that summer. Had an amazing summer league, and I think at that time they wanted Jared Bayless to be the point. They didn't see he could be a point, so they put me in the lineup, and we ended up doing some great things. So I had an amazing summer league. Ended up, I was going to go to Cleveland's camp because Cleveland was definitely interested in me. But then I ended up getting an amazing offer from a team in the ACB called Malaga. So I ended up going to Malaga for 3 months. After that, I went to Jerusalem where I played in Israel, which was an amazing opportunity. Like I said, I really read the word, so I was really heavily in my Bible at this time too as well, like just trying to see like where I could go. So I'm like, okay, the Dead Sea. Then you had I went to Bethlehem for Christmas. Um, it was like the 17 steps of Jerusalem and just seeing the whole historic part, man, like it was amazing. Like it was amazing. And by me like really being tuned in, I was telling myself, I played in Jerusalem, so that was just amazing. Like Israel is amazing, period. Like the food, just the atmosphere, like it's such a beautiful city and historical city. Like, I need to go back for sure. And I'm glad I'm having this conversation, like because I definitely want to go back. But after that season, I was telling myself, man, this is my last time playing summer league because this was 5 years in a row. I played with Cleveland, and at this time, Byron Scott just became the coach. I've been knowing Byron Scott, man, since I was a kid. I was the first camp I went to. So when I'm there, he gives me the ball like, yo, it's your show. Do what you do. Had an amazing summer league. End up getting a guaranteed contract, NBA contract to the Sacramento Kings. And like right, now Sacramento's back in the picture. That's why Sacramento will always be my favorite team. Played in the NBA, which was amazing. Playing against, people say the best players in the world, but I feel like, if you're doing what you love to do and get paid to do what you love to do, like you're a best player, period. And that's just basketball. Like if you're a pro basketball player, you're a great player. Um, but definitely just my dream came true. Of just playing in the NBA. My dream came true just of being a professional basketball player. But playing in the NBA was an amazing experience. Um, Especially being in Sacramento, I wasn't too far from home, so a lot of family used to come down watch me play. Um, that next year, uh, it was the lockout, and I ended up going back playing in ACB in Spain with Badalona. Badalona is a team where like Ricky Rubio and Rudy Fernandez, they was playing on that team. Played there. I think we came in like a ninth. We was just like a game or two from playoffs. And I've been in China, after that. And I was in China for 8 years. I was 4 years in Shandong. Went to the championship my first year. Ended up, I get to the championship. I always get there. But and our team previously was in last place. So for us going to the championship was like the Shandong has never been to the championship. So ended up signing a 2-year contract with Shandong. And once I signed that 2 year, I was probably thinking like, man, I think the NBA is probably no more. And ended up signing signing a nice deal with Li Ning.
Big
Um,
time company.
yeah, I had my own like basically like my own shoe. Um, I'm one of the first players in the like American players in the CBA to like sign with Li Ning, so that was like an amazing, accomplishment. Um, so did that for 4 years. Went to Tianjin, that's close to Beijing, for 2 years. Um, then the last 2 years, I was in Fujian. It's like close to, not too far from Hong Kong. It's like near like Guangdong, but Fujian province. And now I'm back in the Ukraine, playing for Dnipro. I'm sorry. I ended up winning. So my fourth year in Shandong, I went to France. I went to France after the season because the season in China is usually like 4 or 5 months. And I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna go play somewhere. We just had my son EJ, and I was like, you know what, like let's go somewhere. And got with my wife Siobhan, and EJ was 2 months. We flew him out we all went out to France, and we was in France for like 3-4 months. Ended up winning the championship with Limoges.
So you got one. You got one.
Got one.
Let's
got
go.
One. You know, got one. Well, yeah. So I'm sorry. Like 2013, 2014, I ended up getting a passport. You know, I have dual citizenship with I have a Ukraine passport. You know, so I was able to play Eurobasket and play in the World Cup. You know, 2014. So now I'm back in the Ukraine, as in, you know, this is 2021. Not as a local player. I'm a local player in Ukraine, so I'm able to use my passport.
That's awesome, man. That's quite the journey back to the Ukraine, where it all started.
16 years of being a pro basketball player.
That's longer than most. Most guys never get a paycheck to play, let alone a 16 years. Is that what you said?
This is year 16.
And you're still giving buckets. And I saw you in the TBT this year, serving them up, man, in the basketball tournament.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, and of course, you know, you have the Drew Leagues, and, you know, you have like, you know, just, you know, a lot of things, like my energy is amazing now, you know, because I really, you know, take the time of like being with the, you know, with the players, you know, up next out in our communities, you know. So, you know, me working out against the 16 and 17-year-olds, you know, like our college players, you know, me being with the younger players definitely keeping me young. So, you know, that's why people like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm 37. Like, you're 37? You don't even look 37. What? That's amazing.
We're just kids. We're still young. We're still young.
Oh, we're forever young.
We're still young, man, for sure. Well, I love that you've had a journey on the floor. Now let's take it off the floor and talk a little bit about Laced.
Yeah.
In your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd have the only Black-owned shoe and clothing boutique to have a Nike contract in LA?
So I would never thought that. You know, that's why you're just supposed to just execute. You know, in high school, I was, you know, best dressed. Even though I went to school for uniform, you know, but when it was free dress day, it was a fashion show. Okay.
I bet. You got style. You've always had style.
So then, you know, I always was into fashion. So, and my parents was always on me. Like, mind you, my grandpa had his own barbershop, you know, in Detroit. Then my dad had his own, you know, he had a couple businesses, but, you know, he had a record store called Hey Love. You know, he had that for like 25 years. And I'm the third. I'm Eugene Jeddah the third. So I knew at some point I had to like do something, you know, like having a business. And, you know, I had this idea, you know, with my boy back home. Shout out to, you know, JB, that's my partner. We had an idea of like just having like a shoe clothing boutique. And my boy J5, shout out J5, he was like, yo, like, you should call it Lace, because I was looking for a name. He was like, bro, we should do Lace. And that, like, we just did it, you know. At first, you know, we didn't have Nike. You know, we had like, you know, shout out to Puma. Puma was like really like that first big brand, like shoe brand, like to really open our doors. Salute to Dana for that. But you know, we had BBC, you know, we had some, you know, some nice clothing brands, you know, and we had some other shoe brands that like people didn't really know about, but they was pretty fire, like TCG, and like we really introduced that to the city. But we didn't get the Nike account until probably like year 3. And mind you, so I'm really trying to find, I'm like, man, like, you know, I'm reaching back to my peoples in Portland. You know, Portland is home of Nike, you know, so, and that was a huge plus. That was a huge plus of like really why I ended up getting this Nike account. Is because of my relationships with people in Portland. Because people in Portland was, you know, they come and watch the games, this and that. And my sister being the fastest woman in the world, you know, she has a big Nike contract. You know, she had a big Nike contract as well. So that was a plus. But the person that was given the accounts for Nike is Coach Holden's best friend, Ron Walden. So once I was finding all this out, I was like, Coach Holden, man, like I even hit up Rev. I was like, man, like I need to get this Nike account, this and that. He's like, you need Nike? Coach Holden.
I was gonna say that sounds just like Holden.
So Coach Holden made that call. To Ron Walden, who is a mentor of mine. And the first time he was like, yo, just keep grinding, get in the community. And so this is like year 3. So you need to start doing more things in the community, which I already was. I'm always having events and this and that, the story. And when I was in 10 Gen, shout out to my teammate Jeremy Tyler. When I was in 10 Gen, this is when I created the acronym. Because with Lace, I was like, dang, LA. I was always playing with like, oh yes, LA in the reason in the beginning for a reason, or this and that. And so I was like, dang, Los Angeles. Okay, Los Angeles creates. Okay, Los Angeles creates. Los Angeles creates. And I was trying to find an E. And I remember on the plane, I looked over to Jeremy Tyler. I was like, yo, man, I need an E. And he was coming out with like a lot of E's. And he was like, bro, how about endless? I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm writing down. Los Angeles creates endless. Los Angeles creates endless. And I was looking and I was like, dreams. And I was like, oh. I said, Jeremy, dreams. And he said, oh. And I was like, that's it. Los Angeles creates endless dreams. And that's more of a nonprofit. Because then we're able to highlight people who are from LA and those who moved to LA that have created endless dreams. Like LA is like the land of opportunity, like LA and New York. People move to those places to really, make their dreams come true. And so I took that idea back to, Nike was like, oh my gosh, like, especially like at this time, and we ended up getting it. We ended up getting that account because we started doing a lot more in the community, as in Thanksgiving, toy giveaways, just really inviting the youth to the store to learn about, business and this and that, and, like really putting our footprint in, because then as we're going to these meetings, we're like, dang, like we're like really only Black owners in here, and us having like, we could go to Hollywood to the hood, like we're over in Watts or we're over in Compton or in the Crenshaw, like we're everywhere, so, but we also can fit in wherever. So, when it comes to the neighborhood, like we represent the neighborhood, to the T. So
that's incredible, man. You always have been able to connect and fit in wherever you go. I know at Portland there wasn't a lot of Black students, but you fit right in. And talk about that, man.
Well, like I tell people all the time, like Portland did not have that many Black students, but like the people at the school, they didn't care about that. Like nobody wasn't looking at like my color, like they was looking at my heart. And that's what I love so much. Like I never had a situation, I never had a racist situation at University of Portland at all, because I felt like it was a real family, like it was a real community. Like, so I always thank people, like even I was like the only Black person in the classroom. Like, okay, like I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, but I felt that prepared me, my time at University of Portland prepared me for like being in Ukraine, so like even like my, coming to Ukraine or being on the Ukraine national team, like I was the only Black on the team, like, but I like that was normal. Like that was like normal. Like I wasn't tripping about that, or going to Spain and it's now being in situations as being the only Black, and the University of Portland have definitely prepared me for that. So I will always, salute, the University of Portland, for, just making me feel like, this is home, like it's no color lines. Like, and I will always cherish those moments and be
I love
thankful
that, man.
to
I
the
love
people.
that. Well, let's wrap this up. Last question for you, Pooh. What advice would you give to a current University of Portland student athlete?
Just get to know everybody. You know, please, please, everybody, get to know your peers because those are future millionaires. Like really, like you, like don't go when you walk down. I know people not in school now, but once the things get back going, like please know everybody at that campus. Like college is for networking. So get to know everybody. Of course, do your best, especially you're on a scholarship. Like you're on a scholarship. So um handle your business. You know, of course, without the books you get no looks. So you gotta do your schoolwork. But like put in that work, whatever sport you're in. Like morning, noon, man, put as much time into your craft, especially if you want to be a pro, because you're one step away of being a pro player. So don't mess that up. But please get to know everybody, know people's names, say hi to everybody. You feel me? Like make everybody feel important. You're important, so make everybody else feel important. And like that was like I was so happy that I was able to have tremendous relationships with people, who didn't even play sports. It's like, yo, like I'm going to the tea room. What's up? I'm at the tea room.
The Twilight Room, the tea room, Thursday nights, Pooh. Thursday nights at the tea
The
room.
tea room used to be cracking.
Oh man.
Oh, so and that's just how it was. Just going to different places and like Pooh, what's up? Like, and I always wanted to be known as a better person than a basketball player. Like
I'd
it's
agree with that. You're a hell of a basketball player, toughest guy I've ever had to guard, but I always tell people you're a better person than you are a player. And that's hard to do because you're a hell of a player playing 16 years professionally. So, Pooh, thanks for taking time to be guest number one. Really appreciate it. If you are a former pilot student athlete, the UP Athletic Department wants to get connected. So visit portlandpilots.com/alumni. That way you can stay in touch and pass us your current contact information. And fans, if you're watching this, you can help support pilot student athletes with a donation to help to their scholarships. And for more information about that, visit portlandpilots.com/assistance. Those will be below in the link or in the description of this. But that was awesome, man. I really appreciate you, Pooh.
Man, I appreciate you too, man. I'm so happy, that we was able. It's almost 20 years, bro. It's almost 20 years we've been knowing each other.
That's awesome. That's wild, man. You've always been there. If I've ever had anything that I've needed help with, you've been just nothing but helpful, man.
Come on, and we're gonna do some great things with Max Hoops. You feel me? Like
Let's go.
come on, man. And once everything get back going, I'm building relationships with people. We could do some amazing things with that. So you already know I got your back with that.
I appreciate you, man, so much. Well, let's go Pilots and
Go
take care of yourself. Go Pilots, huh?
Man, go Pilots. Grace, peace, and abundance to everybody. And I'm looking forward to be back at that campus pretty soon.
Let's do it. Well, thanks again, Pooh. Take care of yourself. Be well. All right, my friend.
All right, my bro. Love you, man.